All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Window Cleaning Millionaire podcast. I'm super excited about today because I've got my man Josh behind the camera right now, and this is the first time that I'm recording a solo podcast on my own for this purpose. I know I did some really short ones earlier that went on YouTube, and we're going to start filming for YouTube and really trying to grow the YouTube page. So super excited for that. Super excited to be on camera. It's a little bit more difficult for me to be on camera if you guys are listening to this or if you're watching this. I don't know. But I usually have some talking points that are on my computer, and it's super easy to just pause the audio and then resume it and things like that. So bear with me as I record this podcast. It's probably not going to be perfect. There's going to be pauses and there's going to be things as I'm kind of getting more used to being on camera, and hopefully I'm not too nervous to do it. So thank you again for being here. The podcast just hit 15,000 all-time downloads like last week. So super excited about that. Had some great guests on recently, and I'm planning to bring more guests on. So what I want to talk about today, it's a little bit different. It's probably not my normal systems to put into your business or knowledge or whatever, but I think it's going to be helpful. And what I want to talk about is a few recent underdog stories that I've witnessed that have motivated me, that have inspired me, and kind of the correlation of business and how I feel like I was able to use my story as an underdog to have success in business. So just to set some context, I coach high school basketball. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, I talk about that a lot, or I share share it on my stories a lot, or highlight videos and things like that. It's something I really enjoy doing. It doesn't pay very well. It's probably not worth my time, but it gives me a sense of competition that I don't really get anywhere else, and I just really enjoy it. So Arizona basketball right now is at an all-time high, or maybe not an all-time high, but it's the best that it's been in a long time. How high school basketball works in Arizona is we have our 1A through 6A. So the school that I coach at is 5A. And then we also have our open tournament. So basically how it works is the top 32 teams in 4A through 6A make the open tournament. If you end up winning your first game, then you have a second game. If you win your second game in the open, then you are stuck in the open and you're in the top 8 of the open. If you lose in those first 2 rounds, you go back to your prospective conference. So for us, that would be 5A. And right now in Arizona, we have the number 3 ranked team in the nation is number 1 in the open. And then the number 6 team in the nation is number 2 in the open. So 2 of the top 10, or I guess you could say top 6 teams in the entire country are in Arizona. So Arizona high school basketball is at a pretty high level right now. So what's really cool though, is that our season we've had a great season, and we definitely came in as underdogs. So there's this guy that's I guess reporter or whatever for high school sports around here. He's one of the most well respected and well known, and most more people read his stuff than most. And before our season started this year, he did some preseason rankings. I don't know if he did 5A specifically. He may have, and I think he had us in the mid-teens to 20s as far as where he thought we would end up. But one thing I do for sure remember is that he also did our region rankings. So our region is made up of about 7 teams. And then there's about 5 regions that make up 5A in Arizona. And for our preseason rankings, he projected us to finish second to last in our region, which reading that, it kind of hurt. And it was it didn't really make a lot of sense because we returned most of our core players. We lost one of our good players who was a senior last year, but most of our core players returned. And I didn't see any way how we could not be as good as we were last year or better. Last year, we ended up finishing 5th in 5A. We lost in the second round of playoffs. So we had a pretty good season. But what's really cool to see is that how we've taken our role as the underdog and just surprised really the whole state. So as of now, it's February 5th as I'm recording this. This is probably going to drop in a week or so. We are number 1 in 5A. So we're ranked number 1 in 5A, and we've been number 1 for about a month now. 2 days ago, on Tuesday, we played Mountain Point, who is number 2 in 5A. And we beat them. We controlled the whole game, really dominated the whole game. They made it kind of close in the fourth quarter, but they only led once, and it was when it was 18-17. So we beat Mountain Point for the second time this year, which secured our region. So we'll win our region. We have 2 more region games, which we should not lose. But even if we were to lose those, we would still win our region. So it's just pretty cool to see that we were projected to finish second to last in the region, and we ended up finishing first. We're going to win the region. We're currently ranked number 7 in the open, and we're ranked number 1 in 5A. And we have a big game tonight as I'm recording this. If we win this game, we'll probably jump to 5 in the Open because the power points between 5, 6, and us at 7 are really, really close. So another big win would probably jump us up to 5. So it's just been cool to see like how we're able to like flip that script. Like we didn't really care what people thought about us or whatever, and we came in as the underdog. And now we're at a point where like a win against us means a lot. So teams are like really coming for us and gunning for us, and it's just cool to be in that position. The other thing that's cool is this guy, this reporter, his name is Greg. He posted some, or not post, so he posted or he did this article projecting some of the awards coming up for this season. So projecting player of the year in 5A, coach of the year, things like that. And what's really cool about this is our best player, who's going to win Region Player of the Year for sure, he is in the top 5 for Greg's report or whatever. So he's in the top 5 of 5A, like rankings to be the 5A Player of the Year. Didn't know how to say that. So he's there. One of our sophomore guards is one of the top guys for like top outstanding sophomores, and then this other player, he's a junior. He's in the top for the top outstanding juniors. And then what I think is cool as well is our head coach, my good friend Jace, is in the running for winning 5A Coach of the Year. So it's pretty cool just to see how we've been able to flip that script and be an underdog. So that's my first underdog story. My second one is, if you guys follow NBA basketball, I'm a big Phoenix Suns fans. I have half season tickets. So what that means is half of the home games we have tickets to. So if you guys, you follow me on Instagram, whatever, you'll see I'm at those games often, and paying for those and going to them has made me like really invested in the Suns. And the Suns were projected by a lot of like preseason analysts and things to finish last in the NBA, like be the worst team in the NBA. And I think that they're currently sitting at 5th in the Western Conference, and they've been a surprise to everyone. And what's crazy is that like their roster on paper was much better last year. If you guys know anything about it, they had Kevin Durant, they had Bradley Beal. Those didn't work out. They traded them away. Got Dylan Brooks, got Colin Gillespie, who was in the G League last year and struggling to get minutes on any NBA team. He's the starting point guard now. And it's been really cool to see how the Suns have been able to flip that script of being an underdog and then just going and building a solid team of role players around Devin Booker and being able to just play solid defense or top 5 defense in the NBA. And they've been able to surprise everyone. So I think they're sitting at 31-20 right now. So it's been cool to see them be the underdog and then just surprise everyone. And then the last underdog story that I want to share before I get into a little bit of my story is somebody I've been a huge fan of for many years, UFC fighter Justin Gaethje. So Justin Gaethje is from Safford, Arizona. I grew up in a small town called Pima, which is like 10 minutes from Safford. The whole area where I'm from has about 20,000 people, which I'm actually going to talk a little bit about my story today, and some of you have heard it. But that's where I started cleaning windows. Pretty quickly realized I couldn't build what I wanted to there, so I moved here. So there's not really famous people or athletes ever that come out of the Gila Valley. So Justin, everybody's a big fan of Justin there. And if you know anything about the UFC, about Justin Gaethje, he just became the first UFC fighter to ever to become a 2-time interim champion. So he won an interim championship a few years ago. Right now, the lightweight champion in UFC is Ilia Topuria. He's going through like a divorce right now, and he's not able to fight, so they did an interim championship. And what's cool is that I think Gaethje, if I might be wrong on these numbers, but I should be close. I think he's fought about 12 fights in the UFC, and I believe like 7 or 8 of those he's been the underdog, and he's won, I think, all but one of the fights that he was supposed to be the underdog in, something like that. He's won most of them. But recently, they set up this interim championship with a good up-and-coming fighter named Paddy Pimblett. If you guys follow the UFC, you probably know Paddy. And Justin opened it as a pretty drastic underdog to Paddy. And the narrative around the fight was 2 fights ago, Gaethje got knocked out. He's old, he's slow, he can't fight anymore, he's 37, he's not in his prime anymore. And that was the narrative that most of the media was saying, and what most people were predicting to happen was that Paddy would finish him and would really have an easy time with him, because Paddy had just beat Michael Chandler, who's a good fighter as well, and it just totally dominated him. And it was really cool to watch this fight. If you haven't watched it, it's on YouTube with the UFC's new Paramount deal. You can just search UFC 325, and you'll find it. But it was really cool to see that Justin Gaethje just dominated the entire fight. Like, he didn't look like an underdog at all. He didn't care that he came in as an underdog. He dominated the fight from the beginning of the fight to the full 25 minutes and won a unanimous decision. So all of these underdog stories have happened to me personally recently, or I've witnessed them happen, and they've been very motivating to me. And it kind of got me thinking a little bit about like my story about growing reach window cleaning and what that looks like. And I feel like I also have an underdog story. Now, I shared a little bit before, but I grew up in a really small town. I served a church mission, so I spent 2 years in the state of Washington on my mission. I got home, didn't really know what I was going to do. I was planning to go to school. I was planning to become a dentist, and I just absolutely hated chemistry classes or just college in general, but specifically chemistry. I felt like it was such a waste of my time. I had a hard time like respecting some of my teachers and things like that, and just like I don't know, I just felt like I was just wasting so much time. I had a friend who had a window cleaning business in Utah. He kind of told me a little bit about it and what it looks like, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you can make like $50 an hour," which at the time, I know now, but at the time, like, he wasn't pricing correctly. He was doing a lot of things incorrectly, but he flew out to me, kind of taught me the ropes a little bit, taught me how to get started, and I spent about 6 months cleaning windows in my small hometown. Now, where I come from, if you work at the copper mine and you make 70 grand a year, like you're pretty dang successful. There's not a lot of like really wealthy or whatever people that come out of the Gila Valley, and that's just kind of the norm. I'd been cleaning windows for about 6 months. We were probably doing like, I don't know, 2 or 3 grand a month, like nothing crazy. My wife was working like a minimum wage job, which she did not enjoy. And I ended up watching a webinar that one of my now mentors, Josh Latimer, did, where he basically taught how big your business could get in your service area. So the math that he gave is you need to figure out how many people in your area make 80 grand or more, and then take that number, multiply it by 10%, understanding that you can probably acquire about 10% of market share of people who have some disposable income. And then you multiply that number by your average ticket, and then that number by your repeat rate. So I did the math on it, and I don't remember what it came out to, but I do remember that that was the first time that I knew for a fact that I couldn't grow the business that I wanted to grow where I was. So what I did is that night, my wife got home from work, and this was on, I believe this was a Tuesday night, if I remember correctly. That night she came home, and I told her like, "Hey, we have to move, like, and we have to do it quickly." Because I just like, I just knew it deep in my heart that I wasn't going to get what I wanted out of life being where we were, and that we had to move to a bigger area. And super thankful for my wife. She didn't really like her job, so she was just like, "I don't care, like, let's do it." So that Thursday we came up here to the Phoenix Valley, and we looked at houses to rent, and ended up paying a deposit, and we moved like the following Monday. So we moved within a week of finding out that, or me knowing that I needed to move. So we moved really quick, but it just sounded right. I didn't come from money, so a lot of times, like, a lot of the comments on my Instagram and stuff is like, "Oh yeah, it's easy to do all this when you come from money." I always had everything I wanted growing up, which I'm super grateful for. I never was hungry or whatever, but my parents never really had any extra. And I didn't even really know it was possible until I started getting around bigger thinking people and people who had done it around that time of the move. So I decided to move here, started cleaning windows here. I think our first month we did like 5K, and then we went through our slow summer season. I don't know how we made it through it, but I'm super grateful that I had my wife's support through all of that, and that she was just willing to, like, just from day one, she was just willing to be like, "Okay, I trust you. Like, let's move. Let's figure it out." And then she worked with me early. I feel like there's a lot of value in being an underdog, and maybe you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, and you are an underdog. Maybe things haven't worked out for you in your life. Maybe you didn't come from much. Or maybe you did, and that's okay too. But your past and where you come from doesn't have to define what happens in the future. So all we did is we moved here with no money. Like, we literally had a box of 10,000 postcards, and a dream. We started putting those out like crazy, spending all of our available time either cleaning windows or distributing flyers and marketing and building relationships. And because we were able to bootstrap it with little money, we were able to become resourceful with what we did have, stayed consistent. And that's why we got results. So this was 2019. 2020, we had our first full year. We did $250K in revenue. 2021, we did 700K in revenue, and then 2022 we did 1.2 million in revenue, and so we've been in the like 1.5 to 1.6 million and pushing for 2 million this year. So I promise you, it doesn't have to take 20 years to get what you want. There is something to be said about the area where you are. Obviously, I moved. Obviously, it's going to be harder to do what I've done in an area of 500,000 people than it is in an area of 5 million. But I did know that my area of 20,000 people wasn't going to be enough. So I'm just grateful to have a little bit of an underdog story to tell. I remember when we moved, my wife's boss, who's probably the most successful person in the Gila Valley, he's done really well for himself. I remember when she told him that she was moving, he like laughed about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna move up to the valley and start a window cleaning business. Like that's funny." Like he laughed about it. And I actually, in those first like year or so, I got a lot of motivation out of that because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna show him. Like I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna do my own thing, and it's gonna work. So I feel like having an underdog story, it's like all the movies that we watch, all the great stories that we know, usually they're an underdog story. Just feel like you have less pressure, you have more hunger, you have more like grit, you have the ability to like feed off of somebody's negative energy or somebody saying that you can't do it. And I think that this is why it's super important that you get around like high thinking people and people who are in your corner and people who want you to succeed, because you start to listen to the things that they say to you. So just in closing, our high school basketball team was written off this year, and we're winning. We're doing really well. We're having really, really good season. Justin Gaethje was written off, and he just won for the second time the UFC interim lightweight bout or lightweight title. Made $3 million in that fight. Suns have been written off this year. Now I don't think the Suns are going to go win an NBA championship, but nobody figured that they would be in the hunt for playoff spot. I was written off multiple times, and I built the thing that I have today. And I just love these stories. So that's what I wanted to share. That's what I have for you guys today. I hope that this podcast is helpful. I know it's not like super tactical. I just want to encourage you that if you are the underdog right now and you feel like things aren't going your way, I promise they can get better. And I promise that it doesn't have to take as long as you think. Like within a couple years, your life can look drastically different than it does right now. And I'm living proof that that's possible. So that's what I got for you guys. Just in closing, I've talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to start talking a little bit more. Just because I want to get as many people there as possible. So I have my live event coming up March 26th and 27th. It's in Dallas, Texas. So it's going to be a $500 ticket. Food is included. I'm not making a ton of money off the event or anything, but the last event we did, there was people crying, there was people emotional, there was people who were so grateful that I did it. And I'm going to be teaching everything that I can pack into 2 days. I'm going to be teaching it as far as like the marketing that we use, the sales process that we use, our rebooking strategies, how we're selling service plans. I'm going to teach as much as I absolutely can at the event. So if you'd like to go to reach-breakthrough.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at Ryan the Window Cleaner. Just DM me the word like Dallas or Texas or live event or something like that, and I'll know what you're talking about, and I can send you some info. So that's all I got for you for now. Take care, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.